Excited to share with you a very special idea, a classic, a favorite that I've enjoyed for many years, and I hope that you'll enjoy it as well and share it further. And please let me know if you appreciated it and would love some feedback. So we'll address two questions, and I'll put it into two parts. The first question will be short vart and an inspirational idea, and the second one a little bit more in-depth that you can look into further. The idea comes from the Sefer HaTeidah, and the two questions are, first of all, what is Jewish time? How does the Torah perceive time, the passage of a day, let's say, of 24 hours? And second question is, we know that before Matan Torah there was certain instructions given to the Yidden, as the Yidden prepared each and every day after they arrived at Har Sinai. There was a different instruction given to them each day thereafter as they prepared. And on day 3 they were told, you got to stay away from the mountain of Har Sinai, and they put up a fence, everybody has to stay off of the mountain. And then they were told to separate the husbands and wives in order to prepare for Matan Torah. And we learn a pretty insane thing, that Hashem says to Moshe Rabbeinu, have them separate for 2 days, and then on the third day they will receive the Torah. And Moshe Rabbeinu, we're told, according to the opinion of Rabbi Yossi, that we say is the halacha, Moshe Rabbeinu added a day midaitoi, hoisif yom echad midaitoi, meaning he literally pushed off Matan Torah, which is the biggest day in history. The whole world was waiting for this day. He pushed it off by an extra day. And Hashem agreed with him. Okay, so instead of being on the 6th of Sivan, Matan Torah was on the 7th of Sivan. But what's the deal? How could Moshe add another day? Why? And what was his cheshbon? And so that will be a question too. But first of all, let's consider the first question. What is Jewish time? So if you look at a period of 24 hours, let's say, how does the Torah view time? When does the day begin? If you have 24 hours, you have a night and a day. When does the day begin and when does it end? So we look at Bereshis and we see that the Eibishter created the world, and it describes Vayihi Erev, Vayihi Vaiker, Yom Echad, first night and then day, first evening and then morning, and at the end of that cycle, Yom Echad is a complete day. So it seems to be the way Torah views the cycle of a 24-hour period. When does the day begin? In the evening. Which is strange, because if I would ask you, when would you consider it ideal to start a new day? I think most people would say when the sun rises, when the day begins. And then, okay, it goes for 24 hours until the next day. But why would you start the day at night, when everyone's about to go to sleep? Think about it. Nobody was very productive at night in those days, in the olden days especially. Even nowadays, most of our night we spend sleeping. Why kick off a brand new day just as everyone's wrapping up and getting ready to go to sleep? And here's an interesting point as well, that if you look at the Mabul, and thereafter, after the Mabul, it says that the Eibishter promises that there will never be a disruption of the order of nature and the cycle and the seasons and the function of the sun and the moon and the stars. All of those things which were somewhat disrupted during the Mabul will continue in their natural way and will never be disturbed again. And the Torah tells us that all of the seasons, Kor, V'chaim, V'kayetz, V'cheref, V'yom, V'layla, Lo Yishbaisu. So after the Mabul, things actually shifted. Hashem set into place a kind of new cycle of time. Yom v'layla, first day and then night, lo yishbosu, will not cease. So after the Mabul, things changed where the cycle of the day begins first morning and then evening. Why the change? And it's interesting that the Goyim still follow that cycle because they begin their day in the AM. Okay, they begin early at 12, but they begin their day AM from the morning and they finish it by the end of the evening. We begin our day in Yiddishkeit. We look at how we keep Shabbos. We begin in the evening and then the day ends the next evening. So why is it? Why are Yidden? Why is it Jewish time that you begin the day at night, and for the Goyim, you begin in the morning? So here's the idea in short, and this is an idea from Eliyahu Kitov from the Sefer Atidah, the Book of Our Heritage, and he has a section on Shavuos. There's a number of things that he brings, and this is one of the inyanim that he brings in that section. What's the point of starting the day at night? And here's the basic nukuda. A person wakes up in the morning. Let's say they have a very good day planned. They've got a productive day set up in front of them, which means they'll get up, they'll be busy from morning till night, literally. That's great. That means that you've set yourself up for a successful day. And how do you define success? To be productive, to be healthy, to do things, to fill your time, to be busy. But that's not a Jewish perspective on productivity. To be productive Jewishly necessitates that you begin already the night before. Your day cannot be productive in a Yiddish way unless you begin the night before. Why? Because the night before gives you an opportunity when a person is at home and they're able to focus and they're able to learn because they're not busy at work, and they're able to say Kriya Shema and they're able to prepare for bed. They're able to set the tone for why am I going to work tomorrow? What is the purpose for my work? The way the Torah views our role is not just that we should be productive, but that we should be a mashpia into the environment that we're in. We should be able to infuse everything that we're doing with Kedusha. We should be able to uplift it. So it's not just about having a productive day. It's about infusing every part of the day with purpose, with Torah, with meaning. Okay, for that you have to start the night before. You can't just wake up in the morning and then hope for the best. Even if you'll have the most productive day, we all know we get knocked around from one thing to another. It's difficult for the day to be on target, on track the whole time. But especially if you're supposed to invest in your day, you definitely cannot start from the morning. You have to begin from the night before. So Yiddish day begins before. Masha Ein Kain, that's the ideal way, the way the Eibishter set up the world. But when the Eibishter saw in the generations following the creation of the world that people were really using their day productively from the morning to work, but from the evening they were wasting their time. They were using their nights to do Averos. And so they weren't able anymore to be mashpia into their day, that they should uplift the world. Adrav, they were getting more and more stuck. In that case, says Hashem, when we're going to have to bring a Mabul on the world to reset things because things got so bad, Hashem says we're going to start a new track here. We're not expecting you to, as B'nai Noach, as Goyim, to uplift the world. We're just expecting that you should be extremely productive. which means, when does your day begin? In the morning. You wake up, you go about your day, you do everything that you need to do, you're busy, busy, busy a whole day, knock yourself out. So much so that you come home at night exhausted, spent, no energy for extracurricular, not such good activities. You'll sleep that evening, that night, you'll wake up the next morning and go out to work again, be busy again, until you're again all out of energy the following evening. So the Eibishter changed that expectation that Yomam V'Layla, first you'll have the morning and then you'll have the night. Your day begins, just knock yourself out. And the night is just to sleep off those extra hours until the following morning. But for the Yidden, now that they're going to be receiving the Torah, and the Torah gives them that opportunity to uplift the world, the Yidden would then go back to the previous initial setup where you first observe the evening, you prepare for the following day, you create a structure, a framework within which you will be busy. You will appreciate what's the framework for why do I go out to work? Who am I really working for? Who does the proceeds of my work belong to? First I'll give tzedakah and then I'll use it for what I can. And I work with emunah, I work with bitachon. All of that framework is the koyach that we're given when the Torah was given. And so that's the idea of Jewish time, where you begin at night, you create a framework for your day, and so that you're not just waking up in the morning, moving from one thing to the next, trying to be as productive as possible. Your expectation is to invest in your day and invest in all the people that you come into contact with to uplift them and to bring the positive and godly perspective that you have inside to share it with them as well. So for part two was our question, why did Moshe add an extra day? What was the cheshbon here? What was going on? And this is another element of the idea from the Sefer HaTeidah. It's brilliant. And he says as follows. He says that the Jewish people, Taka, were on a track like the Bnei Noach. As they were leaving Mitzrayim, they hadn't yet become the Jewish people with the Torah, and so they were still on the track of first morning and then night, as they had been following the Mabul. And that's how they began counting the days leading up to Matan Torah. We know that nowadays we count the Omer 50 days, 49 days that we count, and on the 50th day is Shavuos. That is in remembrance of the Bnei Yisrael preparing themselves for the giving of the Torah. They also counted 49, and on the 50th day the Torah was given. And so, how did it work? The day after they left Mitzrayim, in the morning, they wake up and they count day one for our trip to Har Sinai to get the Torah. And the following morning they count day two, etc. Now, as the Yidden are nearing Matan Torah, they already begin keeping Shabbos. They already, from when they had been at Mara, they had already kept 3 Shabboses by the time they got to Har Sinai. That means that they were now 3 times a chazaka of keeping Shabbos, which means they kept the night before the day. So they're already starting to shift the cycle that they were observing. Not only that, but on the second day that they arrived at Har Sinai, they had a instruction from the Eibishter, Atem tiyu li mamlechas kohanim, I want to make a covenant with you, I want to make a bris with you, you will be a special nation unto me, and you will be a unique nation in the world. You'll have a unique mission. And the Yidden said, Kol asher diber Hashem nase, everything Hashem says we'll do. So now they're already committing to being a unique nation with a unique mission. They're already committing to a new expectation and a new cycle of time. How does that impact the extra day that Moshe added? So the Sefer HaTeidah says, Rabbi Yoliyahu Kitov, he says that when Moshe Rabbeinu goes up on the mountain, on the third day he comes down with the instruction that you should separate from the mountain. On the fourth day he comes down with the instruction. Hashem says, separate from your wives. V'kidashtem hayoim u'machar. Hashem said to Moshe Rabbeinu went up in the morning, they should sanctify themselves today and tomorrow, and v'yunachayim layom hashlishi. That on the third day, Hashem will then give you the Torah. So, according to this, you had the first day they arrived, the second day they spoke about the bris, the special covenant, the third day, separation from the mountain, the fourth day they were given an instruction to separate from the spouses, and so it would have been the fourth, the fifth, and the sixth day would have been the day of Matan Torah, the 6th of Sivan. But, says Rabbi Yossi, which the halacha is like him, he argues and he says, no, Matan Torah was not on the 6th of Sivan, Matan Torah was on the 7th of Sivan. How does he calculate it? That they arrived at Har Sinai on Sunday, so you had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Shabbos. That means 7 days from when they arrived at Har Sinai. How do you calculate 7 days? Hashem says to Moshe that they'll separate today and tomorrow, and then the third day will be Matan Torah. Says Rabbi Yossi, Moshe actually added an extra day of separation of the spouses of his own accord. And so Moshe Rabbeinu comes down and tells the people, Hayunachaynim lishloishes yomim, prepare for 3 days. Not that you'll prepare for 2 and then on the third day you'll get the Torah. You should prepare for 3 days. Which means he comes down on the fourth morning, he comes down with an instruction that they should prepare for 3 days. So that day that he comes down, they separate. The following day and the day after. And then there is the final day of Matan Torah. How did Moshe come to this idea of adding his own day? Says the Sefer HaTorah, because Moshe Rabbeinu is told by the Eibishter, Kidashtem hayoim u'machar. The Gemara tells us Moshe Rabbeinu understood hayoim, today, k'machar, just like tomorrow. Now, just like it's in the morning that Moshe Rabbeinu is being told this instruction. So just like machar, leiloi imoi, its night is with it, so too hayoim leiloi imoi. So it should be 2 complete 24-hour periods that you should prepare, and then you'll receive the Torah. 2 complete days. Now, had the Yidden been on the Goyish count of morning and then night, Moshe Rabbeinu could have come down on the 4th morning, told them, separate today and tonight, tomorrow and tomorrow night, and then on the 3rd day, you could have the Torah. You have 2 complete days. But Moshe Rabbeinu understood that the Yidden are already on this new track. They're already on the new Yiddish cycle. And it's not only from Hashem's perspective. He's saying, I understand where the Yidden are up to. And this is where they're up to. They're already up to that new cycle. So therefore, if they're supposed to keep 2 complete periods, 2 complete 24-hour days, they have to begin from tonight. They can't begin from this morning. They already then missed the previous night. They have to begin from tonight. So you'll separate, says Moshe, today, from tonight and tomorrow night and the next day. Then you'll have 2 complete days, and then only thereafter can you have the Torah. So that was the idea why Moshe added another day, because otherwise you wouldn't have had 2 complete days, because they had to begin counting from the night, which was from the night after Moshe Rabbeinu gave them that instruction. And says the Sefer HaTorah, you have another geschmack idea. According to Rabbi Yossi, that the Torah was given only after a day that was delayed, it comes out that the Jewish people counted not 49 days and then getting the Torah on the 50th day. They counted 50 days and they got the Torah on the 51st day. So how does it work according to him that we still commemorate that by counting 49 and then 50? So let's look back at that count of Sfira and we'll understand it better. The Yiddish nation leaves Mitzrayim. As they're counting on the Goyish cycle of morning and then evening, they begin counting in the morning. So the morning following their exodus of Mitzrayim, the morning of the 16th, they begin counting. But since they only began counting from that morning, they missed that night before. That was their cycle all the way until just before they get the Torah. But now that they're on a new cycle, they're already counting like Yidden. Just before they get the Torah, they're starting to count the night before the day. Look back at that first day that they counted, the 16th of Sivan in the morning, and you'll realize they didn't count a complete day. They waited until the morning to begin counting. The night before, they were lacking. And so that first day didn't count for them based on their new cycle, because it wasn't a complete day. And we know that the days of Sfiras HaOmer have to be Temimos. So therefore, he says, according to Rabbi Yossi, it still works out that they had 49 complete days that they counted, because you have to discount that first day when they counted only from the morning. So you have a number of different lessons that we could learn from it, but I just thought one to make note of, besides for this idea of Jewish time and being a mashpia, being the influence over your time and not being bounced around by it and by the circumstances that you're experiencing, which is a very powerful idea. But this second idea that you could be so committed to something, so invested into your commitment to receiving the Torah, that you already begin functioning on a new cycle. You're already functioning, so to speak, higher than Teva or higher than the norm. And therefore your experience is different, and a commitment has such a koyach even before it actually takes full effect. Even before the Torah was actually given, they were already counting on a new cycle. So a good Yom Tov, and I hope that this is a meaningful addition to your Yom Tov preps. And I wanted to send our best regards from Westville. We should be able to celebrate Yom Tov together, Gesundheit and Freilichkeit, as all Yidden together, K'ish Echad V'Lev Echad. We should be able to enhance our Yom Tovs. And special thank you to all of those that have contributed and really made all the work in Westville possibility, and every single day making a difference. But obviously when it comes to a special day like Shavuos, that shines with another beauty. Hashem should bench you for it, and we should celebrate Yom Tov together in Yerushalayim, Ir HaBnuya. Good Yom Tov.